something other than what God created her for. And I don't know how they did it, but there are people that came through the Jim Crow South and still felt like they were somebody. And I think we've lost that, to not wait for somebody else to validate us.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really important to me. Is when I think about accountability, when I think about, liberation, all of that, I'm thinking about, first of all, like, what can I tell this little girl so that if somebody, tell her they don't like her skin color or whatever it is already coming up, that she knows that she ain't the tail, she is the head, and that, all of those things, especially when we're at a place where they're trying to make Black history propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm bringing here.
Well, thank you for joining us. Um, I know you had a lot going on this evening, so I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Allie.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Oh my
Great. How
God,
are
in the
you?
flesh.
Hey,
I see you got on here Michigan Coalition of Human Rights.
yes, represent.
Yes. Trisha and me, yeah. Got the Revertia. How are you? Introduce yourself.
Yes, Alexandria Hughes, community activist, organizer, connector of people, cultivator of joy, student at Wayne State University, and yeah, just happy to be here. Glad to be here with y'all. Looking forward to this conversation.
I know we don't get to see your face as often as we like, but we're happy you here too.
Yes,
So, you
absolutely.
guys, we have a guest panelist tonight. Revertia is running late, but she will be here soon. So, but we're gonna bring on our guest panelist who's been working with us so hard. Marcus Kelly, yay!
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. How everybody doing? Wait a minute.
We
I think
good.
me and Trisha got the same background.
I was about to say y'all at the same place.
The same place, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Same place, liberation.
That part right there.
So, Marcus, introduce yourself for those who don't
Well,
know you.
well, greetings, everybody. My name is Marcus Kelly. I'm the executive director of the Change Up Midnight Coalition. We chose midnight because during the Underground Railroad, the code name for Detroit was midnight, so everybody had to get to Detroit to get the freedom. So I am an organizer / advocate for the full restoration and enfranchisement of impacted communities.
Wow. And I met Marcus. Wait, Marcus lived from the area, but I didn't meet him until I went to Florida for
Yes.
Big. I was like, okay, from Michigan. All right. So hey, it's cool for you to be here with us. I'm so happy that you're here because you really you reached out to us like, hey, I know Crystal, how can I help? And so we're so grateful for all your knowledge. You like a walk-in law library. Spelling out cases. So I'm like, oh my God. Okay. So I'm just so happy to, know you and be acquainted with you and your work. And so I'm glad you're here with us for this conversation tonight. And I look forward to you just being on the other side in the hot box where we're talking to you about, audits, some topic. But yeah, I'm glad that you're joining us tonight. And
It's a
I
pleasure.
look
And what
forward
up, though,
to
Mr. Clay, Dr. Clay?
yeah. So tonight we're going to talk about reimagining and building systems of care, accountability, and restorative justice with our guest. I'm going to bring her on, Yana Lynn. I hope I pronounced her name right. Okay. And so we're going to bring her on, let her introduce herself, and then we're going to let you take it away, Allie. We do have a few conversations that we're going to sidebar to tonight a little bit. regarding Crystal and some things that we got done today, thanks to Marcus. And, so let's bring on our guests. Hello.
Hi, everyone.
What
My
up,
name is
bro?
Hey, I'm Yana. I'm with BLM Detroit chapter. Also been a community organizer for about 8 years now. And I operate through an organizing lens with Black Queer Feminist Lens, with the goal of dismantling all systems of oppression, and also building new systems of accountability within the city and advocating that throughout not only the city, state, nation, globally. So just trying to connect everybody together and let's get this train moving.
Yeah, that's right. Well, thank you. Welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me.
I know Ali sent the video, but I had a video that I want to introduce to the panel and our guests, and then we can get started with the conversation.
So healing justice says it's not enough to just send one person to therapy and say that's going to heal the community. Healing justice says we got to heal the village. So we got to have all us together. There needs to be some individual work, some collective work, and guess what? Some systemic change too. Healing justice says we need prison abolition because we can imagine a world where accountability and restoration looks different. We can create safety by having living wage, by having accessible health care, by having people taking care of their needs. Healing justice says let's imagine bigger and bolder and more loving.
Y'all don't need me. He done said it all.
Hey.
Go ahead, Ali.
Yeah, that was a great way to open us up. Yes, words I need to hear every day, because let me tell you, it's hard. It's hard with this current administration. But yeah, thank you, Yana, for being here. I'm looking forward to this. As you guys know, our topic is reimagining and building systems of care, accountability, and restorative justice. So to kick us off, I want to hear from you, Yana. What are in your based on your experience and what you do, are systems of care and accountability the same or different? And then I thought we could all discuss that together. We would go around from there.
For sure. I'm not sure if you meant is care and accountability the same thing, or is it different, or you meant is it
how? Yeah, the same, different. How do they work together?
Yeah, I think that they definitely work together. I feel like to be held accountable by people that care about you means more versus somebody who doesn't know your background or anything about you. I think a system of accountability is you have to check in on people. You have to constantly, have that relationship to say, hey, let's check in. What work have you been doing? I know, this incident happened. What are you doing? What have you done? Or really not even what are you doing, but what can we do to help you be a better member? Not a better member of society, but in a way of how can you unlearn, or do you see what you did was wrong? And so I think that does take a lot of care, and it's a relationship, having that relationship already built with that person who has done that harm, and so I think that those definitely go hand in hand.
Yeah, I guess I would say for me, I agree. I feel like we don't see enough of the care part in our quote unquote accountability system we have. And a lot of people tend to replicate it in their personal life, the system we do have. And yeah, it's just a big need to lean more into the care part. And it's overdue.
Yeah. I think we're so used to throwing people away. The minute somebody does something that hurt us, or we're like, get them out of here, call the police, prison, let's just throw them away. But we see that's not helpful in our society, with the mass incarceration. So what's the balance? And I don't think there is like, you know, I do not advocate for prisons or police or anything. So for me, it does take a lot of work, even for like, I think about victims who have been harmed. Like this takes a lot of work to like be the bigger person and be like, I'm not just gonna, you know, I think it's okay to separate yourself from the person, but also allowing that person to grow and like get the help they need, real help, you know, and like maybe that looks like they need a hug from somebody they know. And, you know, but, you know, that does mean like we can't keep throwing people away or like, or labeling people, you know, something because of what they've done. Like, oh, you stole something, so you're a thief. But like, and how does that play into, you know, that person, like, you know, that self-fulfilling prophecy of like, well, people already think I'm this, so I'm just gonna be that. So I think it takes a lot of us just unlearning not to throw people away, because that's what we were taught, you know, zero tolerance policies, and, you know, having no room for error. Just, you know, automatically you out of here, detention, or you're out of here, get out of the class or get out of the school. So I'm just definitely think we have to unlearn and kind of have a better understanding of what accountability truly is.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead,
What is,
Leslie.
you said having a better understanding of what accountability truly is. So in your description, what is accountability?
Accountability is a process. It's something that when an event happened, when there's harm that was done, you know, there's a process that you have to do as a person who has done the harm to figure out, okay, how did we get here? And it's I think it goes back to understanding, you know, those traumas. Usually, like we do stuff because of either trauma or just lack of knowledge. And so it is a process to either unlearn something. So if you are used to, you know, this is how I was taught, so let's unlearn that, and like let's go through that process. Let's go through group therapy. Let's go through, you know, a conversation of, you know, why is this like this, and like having that better understanding of how you hurt somebody. And it's constantly checking in and also being transparent about what work you have done. It's not just, hey y'all, I'm healed. Like, no, I want to know what you did, how long, you know. I want to see the therapy notes. You know, I want to see the work that you've been doing to get you to this place. And so it's definitely a process, and it takes communities to really like hold people to that process. Like not just like, oh, let me leave. Oh, this is too hard. I'd rather just go. It's easier to just go back and do what I was doing before. So I definitely think you know, I think people think of it as just like be accountable, but really it is a process.
So I think like what is really true accountability? So, and when we're talking about holding people accountable, I think we have to, as a community, have the guidelines as what will true accountability look like. You know, we say that accountability, but what is it really to us? What is it really to the community? And how do we set these standards for, you know, the process for healing? I think as we reimagine and claim these systems, we have to really understand what it is that we're looking for on our journey to transformation and healing. Marcus?
I think determining and deciding what that accountability looks like will take a community and have like a community agreement. Accountability for me means that I have to be able to hold myself to a certain. First, I got to see the God in everyone, right? And if I come from a place of dignity and humanity and love and compassion, then I would have to try to, you know what I'm saying, treat other people like that, so you can teach them how to love you in return. I was in a situation just recently. It just hit me and had my brain going. But I'm into with a few elected officials in Pontiac right now, and in the sense that I'm advocating for fair and safe housing for some survivors. And this particular elected official, Melanie Rutherford, city councilwoman, took and put the woman's criminal record on Facebook and put mine on Facebook, and in a conversation of safe and fair housing. So my thought was, I'm like, well, you're an elected official. Are you saying then that people with criminal records don't deserve safe and fair housing? So, and her response was, whatever I do on my personal page is my business. And I said, whatever you do on your personal page is who you are. And so holding somebody accountable is being able to love somebody enough to say, to correct them, because you don't correct nobody that you don't love. First of all, I don't think so, and to a certain degree, but it has to be able to be given from a place of love and compassion, but that person also has to be able to receive it. So for the most part, I think healing as a community, as an individual, has to be the first start, doing the individual work, so that you can go out in the community and try to spread that work and try to encourage people to, it's almost like modeling the way. Because I surround myself with people that will hold me accountable, but these people love me and they invest in me, and I in them. So, and that's what I would like to see in my own community. But we can't have any system that works for everybody unless we can hold each other accountable, minus the police. So we have to break down those particular systemic barriers that we kind of took on to, like what Ms. Lynn said about we'd be so quick to throw people away. Is because we were taught that depend on the slave catchers to come and get our brothers and sisters, not realizing when they come get your neighbor at nighttime, they come to get you in the daytime. So it's about breaking that system, that the state systems of punishment that we all kind of operate out of when we deal with each other. And it seemed like it seemed like, and I don't want to sound monitoring, but it seemed like we do that to each other so quick that, other than loving each other, in order to do this work, I learned that you have to love Black people in spite of, right? And a lot of people talk about a lot of different Bible scriptures, but they all miss the one thing: those that did that to the least of my brethren done the same to me. So as a community, when somebody harms someone in the community, yes, we go and we love on the person that been harmed. But let's go to the person who caused that harm and find out what they was dealing with too. And let's try to heal that. Because if he was smoking crack and snatched your purse and you throw him in jail in prison and he hasn't dealt with that addiction, he's going to come home and steal somebody else's purse. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe worse, because now he's suffering from post-incarceration syndrome. So, you know what I'm saying? So how do we stop this continuation of harm? It has to be accountability. But it has to come from a place where we love ourselves and love our community enough to even take the initiative to say, hey, Alex, I love you. I know what I did was wrong. How can I fix it?
What that sounds like is what you guys are saying is at the baseline, we need to establish with the community accountability system we create, everyone has humanity. Everyone's lovable, everyone's worthy of life, love, dignity, freedom, all of that. And then comes the system of accountability. And just because you're being held accountable doesn't mean we strip all those things away.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
I think, a big problem is that, tell you what, I'm going to bring a scripture in. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. We don't love ourselves. We're harsh on ourselves. Sometimes we are our own. How many times have you said, oh, I'm my own worst critic? Well, guess what? If you're your own worst critic, you will probably be somebody else's, right? And so when you look at it, it's the society that we live in, but it starts within. It starts with the individual. We're a judgmental society because as individuals, we judge, right? And people say, oh, I don't judge. No, you do. You judge. And I think it takes work daily, right? On ourselves and healing ourselves. Also, we like to come from this place of, oh, I'm healed. No, you're not. There are caverns of pain and traumas inside of us that we will be healing probably until we leave here. You might be in an active, perpetual state of healing, but nobody can claim that they are healed. We are all healing. And if we look at it from that lens, love our neighbors like we love ourselves. I tell people all the time, don't love me like you love me. Love me like you love yourself. Because if you love me like you love yourself, you won't drop the ball on me. You won't want to send me up the creek without a paddle. You'll go that extra mile, and we all deserve that extra mile.
Key word, though. Key words you said, loving yourself. First, people gotta love themselves. Like, so many people are unloving to themselves, so they can't see how to love somebody else if you don't even love yourself. And saying that, you think, oh my God, what do you mean I don't love myself? Because you do things to yourself that cause your own self-harm. You can't even forgive yourself. So go ahead, Allie.
I just wanted to piggyback off of that too. I think a lot of times we say like, oh, how can the reason why the society is like that because we don't love ourselves. But I want to combat that and say we were born into this. Like we were born into like this hate. We were born into like, we grown like this wasn't innate. This isn't innate. This isn't normal. We're born into, these systems of, oh, you have to assimilate, you have to, act a certain way in front of these white folks, or these kind of ideas are poured into us, at birth. And so I do want to like make that clear of like, yeah, this is a systemic issue. This isn't okay. Like I feel like in a society where there are no oppressive systems that we would have way less crime and way less harm. And it just wouldn't be this bad. And so I wanted to uplift that to always like point to the system that has done this. Always that finger.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. I preached a message one time, and it's not my fault, but it's my responsibility. I tell people all the time, I don't give a damn how we got here, but we can't stay here. Okay. So yes, name the system. We understand that whatever the hell it is that got us in this position, we got to clean it up. We got to learn how to love each other. We got to denounce the hatred that they taught us. One thing about us as Black folks, that love is at the core of our soul. That cannot be denied because that is who we are as a people. So what we've got to do is denounce these systems and go back to the original man and woman that we are, because the love is already there. We just got to get to it. But thank you, sis, for uplifting.
Yes, it's like it's a lot of layers, right? It's practicing. It's like we have to detox ourselves from this system because the system is sick. So detoxing ourselves, and while we detox, we are healing ourselves at the same time. And then also remembering healing cannot happen without justice. If it was just healing that we needed to do, it would have been in the DSM long time ago, and they would have been making money off of it. And that's what we don't want because they already make money off of our trauma. So moving to our next question. I was going to say politically. Sorry. What will it take for restorative justice and healing to become the norm in politics?
I think I like to use transformative justice because restorative and transformative are two different, but I think we do need restorative to lead us to transformative, like the
I agree.
Can you explain your understanding of both?
Yes. So what I understand, restorative justice is working within these oppressive systems. So saying like, yes, we will always have police and prisons, but how can we still practice healing justice, or how can we still have systems of accountability, and how can we still, you know, be less punitive in a system that is punitive, or you know, that centers punishment. And so that's kind of restorative justice. I think of it as like taking some of that power away from those systems of oppression, and giving more power to resources for us to build transformative justice. So basically to basically dismantle prisons, police and prisons, and actually build something new that actually, you know, is true justice, gives us true freedom. And we're self-determined to define what that is for ourselves within our community. So that's kind of how I see them as different. I didn't want to uplift that. As an abolitionist, I couldn't
Yeah,
just
no,
let that go.
you're good. Yeah, I wasn't saying one. I wasn't saying one or the other. Like I hear them used interchangeably, if I'm being honest. But for me, it's
Yeah.
transform the system, and then we can restore. But to be able to
Mm-hmm.
restore, we got to transform first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
But I wanted to say, to answer the question, 2020 was a great year for abolition, for transformative justice. That was on the topic of conversation with the elections and just everything with the you know, all the murders and things like that. Like people who were saying defund police. Like I've never heard that really like be so loud within politics, and like people are actually having these topics, discussing these topics. And like, you know, Donald Trump is making these commercials about, oh no, this is what'll happen if we don't have police. Like this is amazing. Like this is the topic of conversation. It was lovely to see. And I feel like we as abolitionists, as activists, I think we need to do a lot more to come together and like really promote this, because the only way it'll be in politics is if the people, when we are demanding this to be a topic. We got the mayoral election coming up. That's pretty big for us, and city council seats are up. And so thinking about how can we bring defunding police at the, you know, city level of Detroit, like it's time for us to show out. This is our time. This should be a topic of conversation during the mayoral debate. So I definitely would love to work with y'all and get other folks together, and like let's make this a movement before November. Let's get this like to the people that are making decisions, that will be making all the decisions, and let's like really fight for, you know, this is what Detroiters need. This is what we want. This is what we define as true justice, as freedom, especially with this president who is looking to strip us of our rights and our freedom, and instate more state violence in our community. So we need somebody to fight for us and protect us. And so yeah, we gotta show out, y'all.
I agree, because the whoever is elected mayor of Detroit picks out the police chief.
Mm-hmm.
And so we really need to be like having these conversations with them to look at what kind of a police environment that you're going to bring to the city. Now, we already been dealing with wrongful convictions, and Wayne County is like on top 10, right? And so we demanding change, as you know, as we look forward to the governor's race. And so we do need to be having these accountability questions, because as far as wrongful convictions is concerned, there has been zero accountability. Yes, people have been brought home. Yes, people have been exonerated, but nobody has been held accountable. And time is, I mean, they're still operating like it's normal. And so I agree with you that these conversations need to be addressed with these people that's running for mayor and city council seats, because we don't need any more rubber stampers that's always rubber stamping everything that they do down there at the including the police, what's that, commissioners.
Yeah.
All of that rubber stamping that they've been doing, we need people that's really going to be about the people. And so this is our time to shine, because if we don't, then we're going to be in the same place having the same conversation 4 years from now. Go ahead, Marcus.
I appreciate I appreciate the uplift and transformative justice, because I too am an abolitionist, and I look forward to imagining a world without state systems of punishment. I think for me, I believe that one of the first things we do, and we talking about from a political standpoint, is first we have to remove slavery and involuntary servitude out of Michigan's Constitution.
Yes.
You can't reform any system that's built on slavery. On all of our harmful policies that is coming out of that particular language in our Constitution, all the policies derive from that. And even going back to slave catchers, which we call police now. So when people say the policing system is broken, it's actually not. It's actually working the way it's supposed to work. You know what I mean? It was supposed to capture, isolate, and kill if you have to. And therefore, that's the Article 1, subsection 9 of the Michigan Constitution and the 13th Amendment that says we abolish slavery except for those punishable for a crime. What it did was it created a monetary incentive to incarcerate. And so when you look at people like myself who've been a victim of wrongful conviction, after they stole those 9 years from me or 30 years from his brother, then they got all this free labor out of you, right? While on the other end, on the forefront, saying Mexicans are coming over taking your jobs, when it's actually prison taking them. You know, license plates is being made in prison, which are state jobs, which could have been for state workers, which could unionize, right? But if I can pay this person $20 a month for the next 30, 40 years without giving them any health care, any pension, any social security points towards the social security, working for 10, 20 years until you got a bad back, then send him home with no money and no social security, I've done my job. I got to give you $300,000-$400,000 back later. Hey, I done got paid from you. Go ahead, take them. Because they don't see you as a human being. They see you as property. And they are free to do with their property as they will, i.e., well, we have a situation with our sister, Miss Clark, you know, or when I was in there, when they was feeding us spoiled food with maggots. So in order for us to really be able to heal, first we have to stop the trauma, the harm. And the harm is going to have to start with our Constitution so that our elected officials can get into the mindset of how can we rehabilitate people who have never been rehabilitated or have never been rehabilitated, which is why I don't like that word rehabilitation. The system was never set up to actually restore anyone. It was only there for slave labor. And, you know, that Constitution, the 13th Amendment, created what we had: black codes, then Jim Crow, then segregation, then the war on drugs, and then now mass incarceration, now classroom to prison pipeline, which also created CPS, which created mandated teachers, which created all these different things. And now we have 48,000 laws that keep our communities oppressed. Because if you can keep poverty in a community, you can keep crime. And they need crime to come and kidnap our babies. So, and now we have a whole system of family, even walking off the chattel slavery plantation with trauma and bottled up trauma from all that they had to endure generation after generation. Then you have people coming home from being traumatized in the new slave building, which is prison. And now we're inflicting that trauma onto our children and onto our community. So we have never been able to feel free. We've always been in survival mode. So first we have to wake up one day and not have to survive.
Yeah. I feel like once people realize, like when we say all systems of oppression, we mean CPS, we mean the judges, we mean the prosecutor, we mean the school system. Like it's all connected. Once people realize that, it's like, yeah, it's real. We for real.
Yeah, they spy on our communities. They pounce on our children. They took It took they passed the No Child Left Behind, so you can pass our children through school that can't read and write. It took cursive out, so now you can't read the Constitution. You know what I'm saying? Because that was written in cursive, and now they can tell you what the Constitution means, other than you actually reading to see that it actually said that slavery still exists. You know what I mean? So it's just so much that we have to fix from a political side, but we need people like us, people who, like, you know, Brother Martin said, those of us who are closest to the problem, the closest to the solution, but the furthest from the power and resources to do something about it. We need people who are actually closer to these issues from our communities that actually go and advocate for us. We need lobbyists that lobby for us. You know what I mean? We need people in government that actually come out to your community, not in the suburban areas such as a Novi and say they've been to Detroit, or give somebody give a street name, but your street is still impoverished. And you know what I mean? We need somebody to actually come and say, hey, Ms. Hughes, how can I assist you? You know what I'm saying? And most people use that word, we're going to meet people where they at, because it sounds so sexy, but what does that really mean for you?
And do they really do it?
Yeah. You know what I mean? You advocating for who? For me? Because when you tell somebody to pick themselves up by the bootstraps, I ain't never had boots. So where the straps at? Show me some boots with some straps so I can pull them up. You know what I'm saying? And so that's
First you got to be able to afford some boots.
Some people can't even afford boots. So we have to think about that when we talk about coming from a place of healing, because most of my people who I advocate for, such as 103 victims of unsafe housing in Pontiac, they still surviving. Crystal Clark is still surviving. So how do you tell somebody like that to pick yourself up by the bootstraps?
Go ahead,
This is so rich. And listen, I apologize for my tardiness. My technical stuff was just going all over the place today. Needed some help. But listen, after I came in and came out, it got right. So I just want to say that this is such a rich and very important conversation, so that we don't, and I think I can honestly say that, believe that we are not the generation to repeat. We're not that generation to repeat what we've been through. You know, they keep saying history repeats itself, but I think historically things are changing in a way so that we don't repeat ourselves. I believe that I know, it's like, how can you say that with all this crap that's going on right now? And I say that because of the people who are in the right now. I say that because that now we have people, I believe, who see, because let's take a look at some things that are done differently that haven't been done before. Let's take a look right now. Who's protesting all over the country? I'll just ask this question. Have you heard about any rubber bullets going through the crowds? Have you heard about any dogs going to the crowds and attacking the people? Have you heard about any SWAT teams and National Guards coming for those who are protesting? I'll wait. Has anybody heard about it?
I mean, some people got charged with the RICO in Georgia, a RICO law for protesting now, and they got all these lists of organizations on the list now to try to charge.
Yeah, Georgia, we had our first activist that was picked up by ICE.
What kind of activist was that?
She was a Black woman.
Okay, yeah. My point exactly. I'm talking about all the other thousands of people who are not Black. Have you heard them being held? Have you heard them going to ICE?
They popping up. at these town hall meetings and everything, and they
at the town hall meeting, they cussing people out. They are doing everything possible. Have you heard our Caucasian brothers and sisters? Have you heard them being accosted by the police? Wake up, Black people. Wake up.
I think to you,
they come for us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I need people to know. The only way this can do this again the same way and repeat history is if we keep going out there and being on the front line for them.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Okay? Because these policies are not just affecting us. They're affecting middle class, and they're affecting people who are not super wealthy. So what are you saying, T? Are you saying not? I'm saying don't be in the front line no more. I'm saying the protest needs to happen within. I'm saying that a lot of people are protesting from within. I'm saying that we protest by changing what we're doing in our communities. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that I see people coming together in the communities. I'm saying we have to protest by how we go to the to the polls. That's what I'm saying.
Go ahead, Marcus.
Go ahead, Marcus. I know you want to
jump in. I feel it.
I feel like we're playing jump rope. You know,
I would say
go like this when I'm getting ready to jump in, and then I would get that time.
Oh, double dutch tip. Can I go? Can I go?
Your turn, Marcus.
I would say, to a certain degree, I'm with you. I feel like one thing about us as Black people, we support everybody else's movements except for our own. Well, we support everybody else's movement, but they don't support ours. That's how I feel. It's been like that even when we was fighting the war back in the day, thinking we was fighting for our freedom, and they put us on the front line, and we got killed off so much and still to get love and respect in our country. I think when I had to do I did a panel one time with a community of Arabs one day, and they was asking for support of, I forgot what was going on in that time, and I'm like, the sad part about it is y'all asking for our support, but we dying here in America, and you won't stand with us here. Like, right, we are dying. We have ancestors still at the bottom of the ocean, and we are still dying over here, and you won't stand with us. But we are so loving and compassionate. We stand with everybody because we do believe that when those that done it to the least of our brethren done the same to us, but a lot of other people don't feel the same. And not realizing that ain't nobody free until Black women are free. So if you don't understand that part, then you can't understand where I'm coming from when we talking about abolition and liberation. If you can free Black women, everybody on this planet can be free.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And until somebody gets in a place of that, it's gonna be hard to be on the front line with somebody, because I'm always have to look over and say, "Is you still with me?" Because you got some people in here that don't think Black women should have rights. And if you think about slavery and being property of other people, the government still have control over women's bodies. So we still talking about property. So if we can free Black women, then hell yeah, I stand on the front line with you. I know you're on the same page I'm on.
So I want to speak on that a little bit, because I can't necessarily say I haven't seen folks that don't look like me fight for my cause, because I've literally in 2020 did suburban organizing in Dearborn and Livonia and also in Ann Arbor. And I saw a lot of white folks show up. I saw some Arab folks show up. I know some groups in Livonia that's still active today, and they primarily white. So I can't necessarily say that they don't, but there has to be an understanding. You have to know who deserves freedom the most to know how we all can get free. Speaking to your point about Black women, you have to know that in order to know. And on the point of politically, how we can transform the systems. my mind went way past that. I started thinking about the Electoral College. That was born off slavery. And I think we have to be 3 steps ahead, not 2, 3 steps ahead. Because when we're looking at the 13th Amendment in the state, they're looking at how they can maintain it locally, maintain slavery locally. How can they continue to do that through the laws? And they have in some of these states. Alabama, for one, I think they removed the slavery loophole and they still doing a lot of the same things. So I say all that to say we have to be 3 steps ahead, whether it's the Electoral College, whether it's making ranked choice voting happening on a federal level, so we have a more even playing field. We have to just be thinking that way in order to win.
Go ahead, Trisha. You still muted. Okay.
Oh, we lost Trisha.
We lost Trisha. She'll be back. Go ahead, Leslie.
I'm okay.
I wanted to upload. Well, while
Go ahead, Yana.
Until she comes back, I'll talk until she comes back. I'll say her stuff. But I wanted to uplift something that JF Clay said in the chat. Communication moves the needle of political climates, and I wanted to say back to the question of how can we make this more what will it take for a restorative justice or transformative justice to be the norm in politics? Thinking about media. We need to make a Tubi movie about like a world without police. I want to see that. I want to go to that movie.
That's not a bad idea.
I want to see that movie. I need to see more images, more, art that is surrounded with about like a world without police, prisons, systems of oppression. Like, I want to see that movie.
I do too. Because it'll allow you to reimagine and see it. And once you can see it, you can be it. But if people don't have the vision, they just go back to the status quo of things. But I'm with you.
If we have capitalism and no police, we in the same boat. We'll be in Wild Wild West.
Oh yeah,
that's what they say.
Yeah, that's what they want us to believe.
Right.
I believe if we had, honestly, if we got to a space where people are paid living wages, that can actually care for their families and stuff like that, I believe, first of all, that is mostly the root of crime, of poverty.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can get to a space like when Martin Luther King built the poor man's movement, where white people who was poor, black people was poor, we all moved together because we knew we was in the same boat, I think that's possible. But imagine a world without police. First, we have to really strip those shackles off our brains to actually see a vision of what life could be without them. Because if you think about it, police is the largest failing system, but they get the most funding every year. Any other system that fails, they might stop the funding. In Oakland County, they get $250 million appropriated every year, yet they still, in Pontiac, still murder innocent black men. They still got so many wrongful convictions. Crime still persists. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that? Yet they still get 30 more million this year, an extra 30 more million that year. And when they bring in money for mental health treatment, the mental health funds that supposed to came, they get that and say it's for sensitivity training. So I'm like, and yet you got the woman and kids that froze to death and died because the police failed them and talked all on the thing saying, these people that won't in Pontiac just won't die. This is a cop saying this, and they go get some more funding. So it's like, we know what they put in for because America doesn't feel like they can live without slavery. Period. It's a $1 billion industry. We are just property to them, to the masses, and we bring in a lot of industry incarcerated, and then we can legally discriminate against them. Thanks to the Dred Scott ruling that's still alive, that we 3/5 of a person and things like that. It makes it legal to discriminate when somebody got a criminal record. So Now we don't have to we can keep them in this box, in this life cycle of disenfranchisement, because we get more money off them if they poor. Who do you think frequenting McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chickens and all these Family Dollars in your neighborhoods, and and Arby's and a dialysis right there too? Because we frequent them because we poor.
Right.
we can't afford a grocery shop. You know, so not at a Whole Foods state, a place with healthy food. We buying quick fixes. We buying hot and readies. Now we got diabetes, high blood pressure, and all that. But you notice, for our communities to be so impoverished, that's where they put the most restaurants and stuff at, fast food places.
I want to make sure
Yeah,
you
and
get back
I think-
to Trisha because
go ahead, Trisha.
I don't know who that was.
Yeah, you know, I totally different from what I was getting ready to say, but I keep hearing the word reimagine, right? And I think what happens is people can't reimagine because they can't even imagine.
Yeah.
How can we, you know, I'm telling you, the mind is so powerful. I think about how people say the Willie Lynch letter is not real. No, well, no, because some of those effects now we are seeing now, right? And so I think how do we adjust our minds as a community, right? Because there's individual thought process, then there's the collective. And so it's so hard for us to get to the collective mindset because individually our minds are messed up. We can't imagine, we can't reimagine, we don't have hope, we don't understand our full power. And that was by design. That was by design. And so when you think about some of these lessons that need to be taught, because all transparency, I used to say, reimagine what? You know? And y'all reimagine, right? But it was because in my mind, right, at that time, I couldn't see it. And I think Jay said it earlier, you can't be something that you don't see.
Oh, wow.
To your point, Trisha, it's I feel like 2020 was when people started to, that fuse was lit and people was like, okay, I'm reimagining. They started looking into that new world. They felt betrayed. They felt disrespected. Defund the police. And that's what came out of it. People started, and then abolish. The voices got louder. And I think there needs to be more of that. There needs to be more of that motion. And then also, I know sometimes what feels foreign can feel, people get a sense of fear around that if it's unknown. What they don't know, what they aren't used to is bad. It's something I've commonly heard from people when you bring up abolition and it's new to them. Or so I think with that, like, it just takes looking at the facts. We look at what they call quote unquote crime, which I mean is a lot of things. This is why I say quote unquote. It's not a bunch of people who are raping people and pedophiles. That's not the big majority of people. Actually, who's locked up behind bars the most is those impoverished, those from poor communities, those who got pulled over, has a lot of tickets, like stuff that's not, the majority is not the folks that we are really that we are really scared of. It's not that. Then you look at crime levels, how severely they have gone down over the years. But then look at how much police funding has increased over the years. It continues to increase yearly. You have to question, why do we even have police if the real problem is poverty? They're just locking poor people up. So who are they afraid of? We're not afraid of that. We just want to be safe.
Right. They're locking up poor people and they're making profits off of them. So once the poor people get locked up, guess who's paying for all those phone calls? Guess who's paying for all those secure packs? Guess who's paying? And that cycles continue. You think it doesn't get better because what they say, crime pays. Yeah, it pay. It pay everybody but you. It pay the vendors. It pays the warden. It pays all these people in these positions. Everybody but you get paid. You know what you get? More time. And, I wanted to piggyback off of something else. You guys were talking about 2020, when people were protesting and everything. What happened to the voices? Well, they started beating them to death. The police was around beating everybody down to the ground. And people had to either file lawsuits or whatever. And that's what kind of probably deadened some of the rah, because everybody was getting beat all over the place. So now you got fast forward to now 2025, and we like, hey, stand down. We done got beat about 4 years ago, the hell out of us every time, or we was on red alert every time we went out on the streets, protesting, or we were following the governor around to all these town hall meetings talking about reform and all of this stuff. And now look at us right now, where we are in this position. And that's why people feel disgruntled and disconnected. So this is what happened. And so we had to, again, when we're saying reimagine, we had to see a different way, I guess, like what Reverend Tia was talking about, but also see what we can do better, reimagine or imagine a world without all of this and try to create it. What do we need to create these spaces? Who do we need to create these spaces? When I look at Fred Hampton and all the things that they built in the community, they have free lunch programs, they had food, they fed the community, they had their own clinics, and it was, not just Black people, but it was all the people who were poor, the people who believed in this movement of freedom. And that's what we did it before. We had the blueprint before. We just had to go back and pick it back up and recreate it, because we didn't have all these DEI programs and all that stuff that they're talking about now. That wasn't the truth in those times. So all we had to do is figure out how to come together to recreate what was already here, given to us before they took it away, and then move forward. And then we won't have to worry about all this stuff. We would be like just sitting back, like, whatever. Y'all could do whatever we want, because we got our own house, our own clinics. We got our own ways of getting food. We got, we do have these things that we can do. It's not all gloom and doom. We just have to remember who we are. Through all of the through all the crazy stuff, we got to remember. It's like, go back. Remember.
Reimagine and recreate. When you think about it, we have to reimagine and then recreate again. But think about those areas, every area of living and giving that we had. And then think about and see the monopoly that has taken place and has chatteled us in as slaves under that new policy or under that new way. Let's just take hospitals right now. Just think for a second. When I was growing up, there were hospitals in the city. There were hospitals in each community. So you didn't have to go far for if you broke your leg, if you if you had mental health issues. See, they keep acting like mental health has come a long way. We have gone backwards. And we had mental health components at the hospitals that were in the community. And today, what do you have? Systems. You have healthcare systems, right? And you have one monopoly after another. And it changes according to whoever comes in and buys them out, right? We have systems. Think about the system. Grocery stores. We used to have mom and pop grocery stores. I remember going down to the corner for my grandmother to go to the market. The market was in the community. I had a little note that was pinned to my shirt, so Miss Carter could just go ahead and read it and get the groceries off. My grandmother gave her the money, put the change in the bag, and I walked back. Do we have those today? Not as many. You have what? Markets. You have systems. You have capitalism. So the community idea, or the idea of community, has been almost dissolved. When I think about how we react as a community, when you think of the battered wife or the battered woman syndrome, put it back into our context. There are four things that make kind of create the thought pattern behind the battered person syndrome. They think the abuse is their fault. That's the first thing. How many times have you seen where African Americans, young people, the children, think they're already guilty before they've done anything? They grow up thinking that, oh, I'm already at fault because I'm Black. The other thing, they hide the abuse from friends and family. We don't always talk about the things that are done. Some of us have been so used to it, we just expect it. They fear for their life or the lives of their children. We have been abused. I was talking to children today, and the question was, what is your greatest fear? It's sad when the African American young boy who's in the 8th grade says, my greatest fear is to be beat up by the police. Beat up by the police. That's a legitimate fear. Why is that a legitimate fear today? And then the last thing that happens when you are in an abusive relationship is you believe that the abuser is all knowing and can see every movement. So what do? They keep going back to the oppressor. And so what do? We keep going back to believe that the oppressor somehow, some way is going to change. And they're going to treat us right. We have been abused. Now what do? Our healing, like you all have already said over and over again, is going to be up to us. It's going to be up to us getting with our community and healing and recognizing what has been done. And then, what did we allow? What have we allowed because of money, because of fame? What have we allowed? Go ahead, Leslie.
No, thank you. Yeah, we have allowed a lot. And so what I wanted to say is actually in tandem with what you're talking about is the individualism. So I was looking at the kind of timetable, and so we had a few people mention Floyd in that situation, how everybody was tuned in, and there were conversations happening in May of 2020. But it's not just that those things died out naturally. They didn't die a natural death. They were suffocated by people becoming comfortable. The old folks used to say, sometimes we get too comfortable to be critical. And so in that time, what was happening was we got Sarah funding. So wasn't nobody getting thrown out no more. We got STEMI checks. We got PPP loans. I got folks still trying to figure out how to unfraud themselves from
Trying to got me a PPP.
Right? I missed the chance.
you know, money was flowing through the neighborhoods, okay? So and so what's interesting about that is the ACLU put out a statement just like 2 months before Floyd about taking all the different movements about reparations and moving them together and talk about reparations. The reparations movement got lost in, I got $1,200. I'm not going to no meeting about reparations. You see what I'm saying? This conversation. I just got $7,000 from my loan, and I ain't doing nothing but making crab legs once a week out of my apartment. So I'm not.
So what you saying, Leslie? We got bought off.
We got bought off.
We got bribed.
We got dulled down. So we can talk about whoever, you know, outside of our environment or outside our community rolled back DEI and this and that. We rolled back. We rolled back our initiatives. We rolled back what we were supposed to be focused on. We rolled back on having our eyes on the prize. You know, it was a moment to breathe. It was a moment to breathe for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It was a moment. But what Marcus say? I got a brother said, we're gonna wake up one day and not have to survive. For some people, that was Christmas of 2020.
Wow.
Give me a PPP loan.
Wow, that whole year.
Oh my God.
Where got that money? I'd have fed all these people.
Dr. Clay said we shot ourselves in the foot for sure.
Yeah. I also want to just also to that point, like think about liberalism. Like as soon as here comes Joe Biden, Kamala, the pacifiers all. We was just getting, you know, and I feel like we got to speak to that too, because I feel like that was a big part of like, you know, folks being like, okay, now we're free again, you guys, we can relax.
Yeah, you know what?
I'm like, no,
we didn't get free work for dang.
It's like that. It's like that maintaining. It was like extreme racism is the status quo. It's still bad.
It was a harm reduction strategy, though. You know,
actually,
because anybody that follows, you know, we knew this was coming. I mean, this wasn't like, these are not surprises. This is written out in 900 pages at length.
I think, honestly, first of all, see, we get to talk about the Kamala and Biden. I kind of want to be careful because I'm the only man on this call, but I'm gonna be straight up with y'all.
Oh, I don't like you. Go ahead and say it.
Look, I love Beverly, but I know.
First of all, I voted for Kamala. I did vote for her because I knew what Project 25 and Agenda 47 was going to be, which is we in Agenda 47 still right now, the first 100 days. Mm-hmm. However, I can honestly tell you that they demonized the whole justice impacted community when they said we don't want to have a criminal in the White House.
Yes, yes.
After him,
I will agree. Yes,
try to steal democracy. You chose instead to use prosecutor versus criminal, and we don't need a criminal in the White House, which means the average Joe, the average man, doesn't deserve housing, a job, and whatever. So that was like. And it also pushed up against the alleged second chance that you think that we all deserve. And it's like, you just demonized all of us. And,
that is so true.
And then she only had 90 days to run. You know what I'm saying? So it took me back to where the Republican Party and the Democratic Party first began. When the Republican Party was abolitionists and Democrats were Ku Klux Klan. So when you go all the way back to that, and I'm going to tell you, I grew up a Democrat. But once I started understanding my history, I look at the leadership. See, we lost everywhere because leadership, they don't, the one thing, we see what Trump and them doing is disgusting, to say the least. but they appeal to a certain base that went against their own self-interest and values, and now they are being deported and all kinds of shit. But they went against their own self-values because they didn't want to vote for a Democrat, especially a black woman. You know what I'm saying? So shame on y'all. However, Democrats never really had a message. They never really had a black agenda. In fact, I can honestly tell you right now that our slavery resolution was about to be in the House and the Senate right now, and our only opposition right now is Kimberly Edwards, and she's a Democrat. So and I'm like, so when you really think about it, it takes me back to, or do we really believe we free? Can we get to choose our own master, Democrat or Republican? Because at the end of the day, everything that passed, we don't see it. Mm-hmm. We don't see nothing that they actually give us. Yeah, they might give us a kibbles and bits. They might give us a, something to pacify us. Every year they come around and we don't see them for another 4 years, pimping us for our vote. I'm tired of being exploited. And I'm tired of being resilient. I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's what we've been forced to live with. But I think, honestly, I voted for it, but I think Kamala was a terrible choice. I believe Biden was a terrible choice. You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen, the only real person I really respected was Obama, and he still left the White House without giving us a direct right to vote. We still have to get our rights to vote renewed every 50 years.
Right.
I ain't gonna lie.
They dangle the carrot of the George Floyd bill in front of us.
Yeah, so
and like, oh yeah, we was like, all right, because we was on here talking about qualified immunity, and yes, we won't qualify, and that was just a dangle because we didn't get nothing to look like what we wanted.
Never do.
No, we didn't know what we looked. We got a fake bill.
Look at what happened last year with Democratic leadership.
Yeah,
we went to rallying lands because they said they're not passing no criminal justice reform bills. Right. And who do you think that impacts? Poor people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Our community, for the most part, but this was a person that looked like us and a supposed person who they parade everywhere, big Gretch. But we talking about Democratic majority, and we ain't getting nothing to help our community. So our Democrats shot their own self in the foot
because we allowed them to play in our faces. Let's just be honest. We allowed them to play in our faces. We don't call them out, call them in, bull crap, and just all this nicety stuff. Yes, I'm nice, but guess what? When it comes to accountability doesn't lack love. Love doesn't lack accountability, right? And so we got to get to the point where we are honest with people about what our needs are and to stop playing in our faces. I mean, this goes all the way back to the Civil Rights Act. You know what I mean? They rocked us to sleep with that. Somebody else saying something in that backyard. Is it? Uh-oh. I got an intruder in my backyard. I got to go. I'm sorry, y'all.
This is not a dream.
Okay. Right. We're gonna check back in on Tisha.
I was but to her point, when she was saying like the whole like we don't call them out, we call them in. I'm like, for politicians, it's different. Okay, it's not like we talking about our sister, our friend. No, we calling you out because you got a little too much power to be moving how you moving. So yeah, we gotta call them out for sure.
I agree. For me, like I knew, like just these people ain't our friends. They not our friends. These elected officials not our friends, and there's a lot of people that confuse that in the community. Like some people I'll be looking at like, what are you doing? And it let me tell you,
getting awards and stuff. I'm like, I mean, like, what? You're not doing enough for me,
or that will block me. That have blocked me because I was like, it's some situations where I've been defending Black women, and I see a literal quote unquote community leader or whatever, because I'm trying to be messy, prevent me from holding a judge accountable, a Supreme Court justice, Michigan Supreme Court justice, may I add. Right. So it's like these people ain't our friends. I don't care how much they do for you. That's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. And quite frankly, they owe us more.
Yes, I don't know how she be getting all these Black women activists in her back pocket. I'm like, is she paying?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
How are all these people behind you?
Mark is like, yes.
When COVID happened, she was like, y'all don't need water.
They would sell their child, you know, for a couple
That's
dollars.
horrible. That's horrible.
I'm telling you, they will, because I see somebody, they had an old raggedy hoopty. Next thing I know, they had a brand new car, new position, and and they just, you know, like, what the hell happened? Who paying you? And they all, you know, governor, right, like,
like I thought we was
how they, you know, how they represent, because of, you know, they got a couple of dollars, and so forget y'all. And again, we don't know who we are, so we'll sell each other out so quick and become. I really want to. I see Trisha is back. I really need to get to Crystal. Rabbitier and I met Marcus up at Pontiac, and we thought we were going to talk to the governor, but we talked to her people. And Marcus, you can talk a little bit about that event that we went to today.
So the event was, they called themselves coming to talk to the people of Pontiac. It is because we had sparked a fight. Well, me and a few victims or survivors of the housing issues that we have had sparked a fight. I filed a few lawsuits on their behalf. So they decided, okay, we're gonna come to Pontiac and we're gonna listen to Pontiac. But if you look in the meeting, Jay, it wasn't that many citizens there, was it?
Mm-mm.
It's because, like I told them before, y'all always talk to the same people. You know what I mean? You don't never really get in the community and talk to people. Why don't you go to the housing projects where the things are actually happening at? So they're gonna do it again on the 31st. Seniors. Yeah, they're coming back on the 31st, and Gretchen and will actually be there this time. But that's what they thought that they fix was gonna be. Yeah, Gretchen is gonna be here. And the RSVP'd me and everything. I'm like, okay, cool. And we get there, she sent a representative, which was okay because we was able to get the Crystal stuff to her. Jeremy Moss was there, so I was able to talk about not only the slavery bill, but also the different barriers and, you know, death threats that I've been receiving as a result of advocating for people for safe and fair housing. Because I don't know if y'all are aware of this or not, but my organization is the only social justice organization in Pontiac. Everybody else is just about voting. That's it. It's voting and programs for children. And when I came out and started going after and holding people accountable, it was death threats. It was, look at this criminal record. It was all kind of issues that had nothing to do with the housing. It had nothing to do with people that's just as impacted. And like I told them, if you're going to get my vote, then you have to see humanity in me and everybody else that look like me, not just a chosen few, because we are tired of being resilient. But that's what they came down there for. And I thought it would be a good idea for you to come show your face and show that, you know, saying Crystal Clark actually have people advocating for her too, because we don't have anybody in our community that would do that for her. So that's, and it's a pay. The Pontiac is filled with so much corruption from our elected officials. I'm talking about from the executive director of housing to the code enforcement to the, you know what I'm saying, the people at the city council. Everybody who you would complain to would only come back and harass, threaten, and or evict you, or in my case, threats. So it's like, you know what I mean, that's what they got there, which meant that I had to actually go up to the governor's office, to the attorney general's office, and to the prosecutor's office to say, hey, come down here, we need your help, because our elected officials don't hear us. And if you ain't got enough money, you're not gonna get a business in here. And if you ain't, and I hate to say it, you know what I mean, but I got to keep it funky with y'all because this is one of the solicits that I got. If I don't have sex with you, then we can't get any support over here. These things really happen in Pontiac, and you would think that Pontiac is smack dead in the middle of the richest county in the United States, the fourth, but we are the poorest in the county, with a median income of, I think it's 32,000. I think our teachers make about 37, maybe, you know what I'm saying, about 75 cents over the poverty level. So they can't get food stamps. But either way it go, that is what brought them to the Pontiac community now, and they coming back on the 31st. I want to let everybody know that that they will actually be there. So if y'all have any questions or anything that y'all want to advance, I think you should be there, because again, I am the only, me, Catrice, and a couple others are the only social justice advocates in Pontiac, and that's a shame.
Marcus, tell me, what is the that's astounding, those statistics. But I want to know, as far as we are concerned, and some of the issues that you've been dealing with in Pontiac, how much of this harassment and negative negotiations have been with people of your own culture, your own race?
All of it.
That's what I wanted people to know. Mm-hmm.
All of it. I've been, and I'm going to tell you, and it is going to, you look up Alicia Jones versus Amaya Taylor. It just kind of lays it all out. What I did originally is I went to Amaya Taylor of the Housing Commission. Hey, brother, we have, at this time, it was about 13 young Black mothers living with no heat, no running water, mold throughout the winter. And I'm like, Amaya, listen, man, you the executive director of housing. This is what's going on under your watch. You know what I'm saying? What can we do to fix it? And you know, he looked me up and down like I was a peasant, and was like, and I quote his words, "This nigga," and turned around and walked off. So I said, okay. I said, you know what? I'm gonna go to Melanie Rutherford, who is not only a city councilwoman, but she's the vice president of the Housing Commission. So I say, of board. So I went to her, and you know, solicitations happened, and I told her my integrity ain't for sale. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna try to go to work at the code enforcement. Maybe I can utilize the tools, because code enforcement, we pay for them to make sure there's no longer slumlords. So I went to work there. Melanie went basically and told them not to hire him. Now I'm overqualified, but you know, no job. I'm like, all right, cool. So when I seen I couldn't do neither one of those things, I went to the mayor and I brought 13 victims to the mayor. He said, I'm gonna do something about it. He went and talked to somebody, and they started getting threatened with evictions. So finally, we spoke out. I'm like, you know what? I went to the victims. I said, listen, we had to speak out now, because in order for us to get anything to happen, you have to actually start addressing it publicly. If any, I know you know Alexandria, the arc of escalation. So now we went on a podcast, and you know, it was me and one of the victims. No, in fact, before we did that, Melanie Rutherford called me through Facebook on my phone, threatened me. Then seen me at the library, came over there, threatened me again. So I'm like, you know what? I'm finna start blasting y'all. So I took her on there. We do the podcast, talk about her issue with housing and how she's been threatened and humiliated for fighting against that. And turn around and they do their own podcast, and instead of addressing the housing issue, they threw our criminal records up there. So I'm like, all right, so I go to the city council and I said to the meeting, and I said, are you saying that people with criminal records doesn't deserve safe and fair housing? Because that's what you're telling us. At this time, it's 103 people now. Because now when people see it speaking out, now everybody's coming out. Then we just had a fire at one of the HUD houses with no smoke alarms. So now they're coming out. So it was just like, what I'm saying? It just started something small that could have been remedied to some larger. And I know y'all heard about the woman in Pontiac abandoning her children and things like that. But I'm going to tell y'all something. Had code enforcement done their job, those kids wouldn't have suffered. We pay for code enforcement. That particular condo that they were living in wasn't even registered, hadn't even been registered for 8 years. So that is the kind of thing you deal with in Pontiac, and people don't really speak out against injustice in Pontiac because we get beat up by the police and we get sicked on them by our own people that's elected. I got this right here from a black cop.
I just have one follow-up question before you go to your video, Jay. So with Pontiac, you said, well, with Oakland County, you said it's the richest county. Pontiac is the poorest city in the county, and it's the largest, has the largest Black population, right?
No, Pontiac had the in the Oakland County, yes, but now,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, before ICE got sicked on our community, it became more of like a 65% Mexicans, and you know what I mean. But now it's kind of shrinking again, as and everybody kind of aware of, they stopped going to school and stuff like now. They can't even really come out the house. You know what I mean? But yeah, predominantly yes. This is a black, black and brown community. So that, it would be the poorest at this point because it's a black and brown community. But yeah, and it's impossible because if you look at a donut and the donut is round and the center of that donut is Pontiac. I don't know what just happened, but it was dope. That was a drop the mic.
I thought Marcus had something.
That was a drop the mic moment. That was dope.
Yeah, I was like, all right.
The sound effects is dope.
That's me, you guys, trying to set us up for the video. But go ahead, Marcus.
Oh no, it was I just wanted to give y'all a view of the same issues in Detroit, the same issues in Atlanta, the same issues in Montgomery, and all the communities of black and brown people that y'all suffer. We suffer in Pontiac. The only difference is Pontiac is saturated with people running all these different programs and voting right things, and not enough people to actually advocate for people that that actually look like us. So hope has already been sucked out of Pontiac. Our children don't have nothing to look up to or believe in because ain't nobody standing up for them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, and like I told them before, I feel like for somebody asked me, why am I doing it? I'm like, if not me, then who? You know what I mean? If you did this to Lisa, my brother, you've done the same to me. So yeah, I'm coming after you. That's what I have to do, hold you accountable.
So I just want to say, bring things full circle, and that's why I was told, like, why are you creating a voting corner? There's lots of voting organizations or whatever, and I said because I need something that's centered in justice. The voting is just a tool, because Albert Williams was my great grand uncle, and he was killed for helping people franchise the right to get access to the right to vote, and the movement in the South was not because they wanted to vote because that's what white people did or because that gave them prestige. It was because of police brutality and the lack of fairness in the courts, is from everything to like land usage, because like a lot of the enslavement owners or whatever, owners of slaves, like they would get like last minute remorse before they died, and they would will like a little bit of land to former slaves, but then the courts would end up taking it away as needed because there was Black men weren't even allowed in the courthouse in a lot of places. So we can't have voting. So my point is, I agree with you. You can't have voting rights without justice. Like, they don't go together. Yeah. What you about to say? Say it. Say
it. I think I'm gonna set this one out. I'm gonna say this for a sidebar for you, Ms. McGraw.
Okay.
Allie, before I play Crystal, I'm gonna play your video. I think this is a good time for it.
So Healing Justice says,
bro, we're at 50K, and like it's literally crazy. Like it's unbelievable. I thank you for everybody that's here. But I've been hearing about this kind of safety issue that's been talked about, like, make sure I stay safe. But let's actually just talk about, and maybe wonder for a second, why the United States government stopped assassinating black leaders. Because there's a reason for this. Like, for why Malcolm, MLK, Fred Hampton, were gunned down. But in the 80s, it's crickets. We're going to talk about why there was crickets. Right? Like, and it's like, do you really think white people had to change their heart? No, they just switched the method. Let me break it down how they switched the method. Right? So there's coin, right? And they spent the 60s and 70s wiping out radical black movements, right? They infiltrated, arrested, they murdered. Once they silenced the revolutionaries, they didn't need assassinations anymore because there wasn't a movement left to kill. By the 1980s, black radical policies got swapped for black excellence, right? Instead of liberation, they were bag chasing. So instead of MLK, we got Michael Jordan. Instead of Panthers, we got black CEOs. And don't get me wrong, I love seeing us win. I love seeing us black folks win. But success within a system is not the same as dismantling it. Right? Like it's not the same thing at all. They stopped shooting us down in the streets and started letting us make it as long as we played by the rules, right? You could be rich, famous, and powerful as long as you didn't step out of line. As long as you don't challenge white supremacy, the moment you step out of line, you're going to get blackballed, discredited, thrown in jail. They're going to go for you, right? They're not concerned about a person like me. They waiting for me to be in the front of a protest saying something too loud. And keep in mind, they did not stop with oppression, right? They just upgraded it, right? We're in the new model. Instead of assassinations, they gave us mass incarceration, lock up powerful leaders before they rise, media hit jobs, turn revolutionaries into clowns, right? And economic pacification. Don't fight, just get money, right? That's what they want us to think, that individual wealth is the same as collective freedom. Nowhere close. They want us to believe that buying black is more powerful than fighting back, right? But listen, representation and revolution are different things, right? The integrationists, they really got their little way, right? They really did. They got to be seen, right? And I just don't think that's all we want. So if your success doesn't shift like power, right? Like, then it's just another tool to keep us quiet, realistically. Like just honestly, if they don't have to kill us anymore, that means we already lost the fight. The question is, how do we get it back, right? Because we're actually in an era post black militarized radicalism. We're actually post that because they succeeded on eliminating that, right? Like we're going to have to see a new rise, right? And in this new rise, there'll definitely be something that none of us have been comfortable with before, or at least been discouraged against. And it's going to involve more people than what the civil rights had before, mostly because the black narrative no longer can be silenced by some of the earlier means. This is not going to end on like a lighthearted note, but I just want it to be known that the main reason why they stopped killing us is not because of civil rights. We haven't gotten new rights since 1965, I'm pretty sure, just off the top. We haven't got new rights since then. We haven't got anything since then. So the social situation has not changed, right? A few black people's lives has changed. And really, these are the type of people black women are getting betrayed by. I heard about this in the comments, talking about how they get rich and then leave. Did Jay-Z buy a Ferrari from a black man or from a place, the place they named Ferrari?
When I listened to this, Allie, I was like, wow, he kind of hit it. A lot of great points.
Facts.
So,
It actually sent chills up my spine listening to it talk. I want that video.
yeah. We'll see you the link.
I will say that I think in 2020 there had been some like cases of like activists coming up missing and being found later, like murder. So I don't want to like also erase like those events that happened as well. Like there's also, I can say, there's a couple activists. No, there's still there are abolitionist activists and that get harassed, surely. But the difference is, yes, the power shift. Like we don't have a lot of like folks that we mobilize because everybody's kind of like still in that place of like being, yeah, we get behind black on black crime, like let's rally behind like all love, let's love, we gotta love ourselves, they gonna kill us because we killing each other kind of rhetoric, and that's more popular, unfortunately. We see, you know, the most popular groups I think about, like not to throw shade or anything, but like New Era Detroit is, I would say, one of the most prominent activist groups in the city. They're not abolitionists whatsoever. They're not transformative justice, no restorative justice. It's just kind of, I think they have a lot of like interesting programming that can be, you know, cool, but I think it doesn't hit the mark on like being like really dismantled, like what he was saying in the video, like really shifting the power to the people instead of like kind of just like pretending, or like has had this little cute program that we do and it's not really, but it feels good, it feels easy, and it's like, oh yes, we can do that. Yes, support Black businesses. Oh yes, we have businesses that, you know, are considered safe zones, but yet they have Project Greenlight, which is a police surveillance technology attached to it. But like, let's forget about that. They're Black on, la 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 la, right? Like, let's close our ears. So I think a lot of times, like, it's hard to be abolitionist organizer and try to move people to our side when there are like, you know, kind of this like liberalism or like these talking points that are not really abolitionist or like revolutionary. But yeah, I will say that you know, times have changed. I don't know if there will ever be like a, I think like the Black Panther Party had leaders that were like kind of like influencers, how we would consider influencers today. I'm not sure if I would advocate for that again. Whereas I would more so love to see like movements with multiple leaders that are like interchangeable, not just like one person, like Yana is the one. Like, don't put me up on that pedestal. I'm good on that. But rather a group of people behind, you know, like we have interchangeable leaders, you know, we you know, I'm a part of the BLM Detroit or whatever, or just this abolitionist movement. I don't even got to be attached to a group name, but definitely, yeah. So I think that's also like kind of weighing those differences of what they did in the past and like now as well. But yeah, I agree with what he was saying in the video.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, what you were saying, like first, all of this, like building new systems, all that, it starts with drawing that hard line in the sand between these different groups. And to build a whole new system, you have to be abolitionist. You have to have those values. You have to live by that. And I say all the time that abolitionists are on a whole nother wavelength because you have to have a whole nother level of consciousness to be there. And Black excellence is great. It is. But we can't just be doing, like, if we're not tearing nothing down and building nothing better, then it's not that excellent. It's not. It's not, because I'm still paying these same white corporations. I'm still paying them my Black dollars. So it's not so excellent. And then it comes back to bite us every time. It comes back to bite us when we see another Black boy shot. It comes back to bite us when we see activists who are harmed and people who are deported. Like, it just always comes back. So honestly, at the end of the day, it's going to take some hard conversations and us holding each other accountable, and not always when it's easy. Sometimes it's going to be hard. We just have to be accepting of that.
Well, I want to say, and what is success without a successor? You know, we talk about Black excellence, and that's like a tag code now, you know, for everything. But how successful are you if you're not creating success, if you're not moving communities, if you're not making other people successful? You know, we just have long gone the days of the idol, you know, the one person that we look up to. And like, you know, like Yana was saying, I don't want to be the leader because we all are leaders, right? And so if you're not creating other leaders, then how successful are you really? You know, how you just have money. But if you're not teaching anybody to do what you do, if you're not creating, you know, other spaces of success, then really how successful are you? You know, you take your bag and you move away and you create, you know, community somewhere else, and you spend your dollars somewhere else, and then you come to us and say, hey, be like me. You know, we don't even see you. And you know, so that's my thing on that.
I just want to say, I know I'm a part of Black Lives Matter, but there is a difference because we know the leaders of Black Lives Matter Global was the ones that got all the money. I'm a part of Black Lives Matter Grassroots. And two different entities. I just want to make that clear. Like, well, why are you working with BLM? Like, hold on, not me, not me.
Can you explain the two? Because I was trying to explain that to somebody. I didn't really know. Can you explain the difference between the different Black Lives Matter groups? Okay.
So yeah, the Global Foundation is like the ones that like they were like pretty like those were the ones who were the face of the organization, the leaders.
Is that Cliff and Latasha?
Yeah, and they were like, yeah, they where they didn't do anything illegal or steal money. They were just kind of like just profiting off of, you know, legally profiting off of the movement. They were buying that $400,000 properties and all that stuff, like just living it up off of getting rich off of other people's demise and death. So that was that. And then you have Grassroots. That is ran by Melina, who also ran for vice president with Cornel West. And so she like that branch that I'm a part of is more like we have different chapters and we actually are community groups that do work. Like, and so then there was a split when all that stuff was happening. So they took a lot of our money. And so we were, you know, legal battle, like that's supposed to be ours. Like we supposed to get some of that because we actually do the work. Y'all just are influencers. Y'all just are the face and you just, you know, just y'all are the rich ones. We are the ones doing the work. You know, we ain't making no money. So that was kind of like, that's like the difference between the two. And they're the ones that be so middle of the road of everything. Like they were like, they be something like free Palestine. No, I agree with both sides. Like that's not us. We are completely separate from them. We actually got beef with them.
I'm glad you cleared that up. But
yeah, I want y'all to think about
the BLM. I'm like,
I don't think a lot of people know that. Yeah.
No, and it makes it hard.
I was gonna definitely have a sidebar and just say, you know, what's going on now, sister.
Right. Come over to my organization. You ain't gotta do that.
Right. You know, we don't want to be exploited no more.
Right.
And I think
profiting off of people's pain.
And I think we also have to be aware too that it is people that infiltrate our movement for their own personal gain. And I can speak to being someone formerly incarcerated that I was being exploited a lot for my story to where people were fundraising off of it. I'm just so, you know what I'm saying, so happy to be able to tell people what it was like and how we can change these things. And they were just happy with paying their bills. So they didn't care if I couldn't pay my rent or couldn't pay my bill. Here, we want to hear your story, your success story. We're going to get this money off of that. And we're going to give you we'll give you a Subway sandwich and, and a camera, a Photoshop, a photo op, and we good. And then I got to go back to my continued disenfranchisement, to my continued legal discrimination, and keep fighting for freedom while you going to buy a $500,000 house and a car when you can actually help feed people. So I mean, you know, and that happens a lot. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I even ran to people that talked about, "Hey, prison saved me." Marcus, do you think that prison made you better? No, it traumatized me. I'm fucked up and I'm still in counseling. So, you know, so if that happened to you, more power to you. But I'm
Marcus,
claustrophobic. And
it
I was
traumatized me, and I was just going to visit my son. So I don't get how people say I'm better. No,
no,
the hell I'm not.
no, it was my trauma was exacerbated. and I was claustrophobic. And because I chose not to eat spoiled food with maggots and protest about that, which started with one of the reasons that sparked the hunger strike we had here in the Department of Corrections back then.
Okay.
I knew I was going to go to the hole, and I'm claustrophobic, but I spent months in solitary confinement, claustrophobic. Tell me how that made me better.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I also think about, like, I think Marcus, you were talking about earlier, the list, the little red list they got us on, like Black Lives Matter Detroit on there too, for some reason, our specific chapter. But I'm like, yeah, I mean, they still target, like, they know who the abolitionists are. They got us on the list.
Yeah,
We on the list.
because you making movement. You making
We
moves.
get a little power, a little people power. Guess who they gonna be at my front door? I already know.
Look, well, thanks for explaining the difference, because I'm like, okay, now, Miss Lynn,
Right.
we got to have a conversation about accountability. No, that was dope, though. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So you guys, I want to talk about Crystal. I talked to Crystal today. They had a big win in court this past week with Crystal's case. The lawsuit they're having that they had, where Michigan Department of Corrections was really like on some BS with the grievances. And Crystal had like over 47 grievances. So, you know, at the time of this lawsuit, even like now, she's suspended and she can't even make a grievance right now. They're stopping her from making a grievance. So she's not getting proper health care. And so I want to bring on a video of Crystal this week because, you know, I talk to her every day, maybe 3-4 times a day. But I love her. And when I heard about her story, when I first talked to her, it was like a no-brainer for me. Like whatever I could do to help Crystal, that's what I was going to do. And I didn't know what to do, but I knew I needed to do something. And I think that should be, you know, a lot of our purpose while we're here. I don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do for my son, but I knew I needed to do something. So, where is it? Here it is. Okay.
I'm really like, I'm not going to sit up there and say, I do believe in God, but I'm a little scared right now. I was so scared last night. But I was breathing and my heart was numb and tingling in my body. It's really speed up the headache. Like, my nose bleeds. I'm trying to tell them, like, I'm not feeling myself. I'm not feeling myself. Something is wrong. And they know this mode is killing me. Why niggas won't help me? Niggas won't help me. Niggas won't help me. I asking for no more. I asking for nothing special. I'm tired of feeling like this. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. I'm trying. I'm trying to fight this. I'm trying to fight it. I'm trying. How much longer? No, I can't keep on waiting to go to the doctors. I cannot keep on waiting. I'm not getting no better. Not feeling no better. Not getting no better. And it's, nobody is listening to me. Nobody is hearing me. This is not normal. Like, I feel like confused. I'm seeing things. Something is wrong. I'm telling y'all, something. This is affecting me bad. It's really, really bad. I'm not breathing, my nose, everything, like, barely still bleeding blood. Can't make a bowel movement. It is not normal. My ears is so, you can see it. They green and black, and they like fuzzy, and they swollen, and the hole in the ear is just closed on the right side, just closed. Like, this is this is bad, y'all. I'm telling y'all, this is really bad. This is really bad. And I've been trying to get indoors, stay strong, keep my head up, walking, and just try to ignore it. I can't do that. Can I do that no more? It's not good. I'm telling you. They know I need to be in a hospital. They know this. Every time I tell them what's going on, they ignore it. They won't put it in the system. They won't put it in the computer. They make it seem like it's something totally different. When they let this get to the point right now, they could have been helped. They could have been healthy. They could have been helped. Niggas don't know what to do no more. Like, niggas don't know what to do no more. I've been trying for 15 years. 15 years. And look at me now. Look at me. Nothing is better. Nothing. Nothing. Nothing is getting better. And they don't even care. They don't even care. I'm just tired, y'all. How is they still working here? How is it that I'm walking around looking like this and you can see that it's a problem and something going on? And I'm not in a hospital or not seeing anybody? I don't know, but we got to do something quick. Something. I'm telling you, I'm trying. Really trying. Really trying. I don't even know what to say no more. Help. Guess don't know what to say. Don't know what to do no more. Seems like nobody's hearing me. Gotta keep on praying. Gotta keep on praying. Praying that it don't be too late. I mean, I'm just praying that it don't be too late. That's how it happened. That's exactly how it happened. You get the help and then it's too late. That's exactly how it happened. Look how long it's been. Oh. I don't deserve this. I just don't deserve this. I get treated like this because I spoke out and told them and asked for help and trying to fight for my life. And this is the way you get treated. When you stand up and fight for yourself and fight for your life and ask for help. This is what they do to you. This is what they do to you. You get ignored, you get talked about, you get neglected. This is what they do to you. Tired. Tired. Can't even go to healthcare because they not gonna see me. Sit in a kite. Just take your money every time. Just take your money and don't.
You have 1 minute remaining.
We gotta do something. Wait, we gotta do something. Oh God. Oh God. This is wrong. It's wrong. Pray to God. Oh God. Trying, y'all. Trying. Shouldn't I have to stay strong all the time to shit get the right help? This is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Sad. Sad.
Thank you for using GTL.
You can have the best attorney in the state, but if that attorney is not really advocating for you, then what can you do? The things that we are asking for, as far as a mold specialist, attorneys should be bringing that in. They should bring that in as an expert witness to the damages and that mold could actually do. And she is a prime example, a perfect face for what that looks like. And there, when she have attorneys like that still get that bill and still get paid by the hour, knowing they're getting a big check for their class action, and yet our sister is still sitting there suffering, they actually killing our sister. And these attorneys can actually get expert witnesses and can take them up to the office and say this woman needs to be released, at least until this process is fixed. Because you can't force somebody to live in inhumane conditions according to the 8th Amendment.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Especially when you don't have the means to address it and you don't even try to address it. So I believe, honestly, man, I believe, honestly, with new complaints, I believe that we can file a separate suit outside of the class action one. I want to look that up to make sure they don't go and then attach it to that one and say, well, she already has a claim and she's already represented by attorney. So I don't know what that looks like. And so I'm gonna have to really look into that now and dig into that and see. Because this is my first time seeing her ear.
Yeah.
And this is like a real life to her. I mean, you can see the face disfigured. You can see it, and without actually listening and actually reading it and understanding what the effects that mold will have on you, you'll probably think that she just had a stroke.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I was under the impression she had a stroke because of the lack of Medicare. And now after reading what mold actually does to you, you know what I'm saying, physically with long time exposure to it, that's what that is.
Yeah.
And for the healthcare professionals to walk around there and see her like that and say, and don't ring the alarm and say, hey, we are killing this woman, then like I said, if she really has nobody really to fall back on, but people like us in the community that actually can be a legwork for. I think if we do know of a mold person in Ann Arbor, Ms. Lynn, it would be great if you can. I can reimburse your gas money if you can go over there to actually meet up with them. I do know Racine Miller. She's a work with We Fight the Law. I know she handles prisoner cases like that. and it just dawned on me when I thought about it. But her, I'm not really particular with Feiger. He lose more cases than he win. But I think this would be a perfect case for somebody even call somebody out of Feiger's office too. He of course they're going to have a question of, does she have an attorney? But attorneys can also file an amicus curiae brief to add themselves to the argument and then take the lead on it if the other people are doing what's happening now, just sitting on the case laxed, because they don't care if you die. You know what I'm saying? They gonna get paid. They gonna get paid more money if you die. You know what I'm saying? So the bigger the settlement for the class action, the bigger they paycheck. So it's just like somebody sending you to prison and wrongfully convicted. They don't give a fuck. They're gonna wake up the next day and still get paid to send somebody else to prison. You know what I mean? So there's no accountability in that. Like, we have police accountability bills and stuff like that, or prosecutor accountability, then maybe they might not do that. If people in a healthcare field in prison was held accountable for what they allowing to continue to happen to this young lady, then we won't see that. But until that day happen, until prisoners are allowed to vote in elections, you know what I'm saying, they're still gonna be the forgotten voices, and people like Crystal will suffer and die. So yeah, I think it is up to us to have that. Okay, I see you put it in the chat. I don't want to over talk, but that just did something to me.
Yeah, they're literally giving her a death sentence, and Michigan doesn't even have the death penalty. They know what's going on in that prison, because every time somebody come in there, they wake them up early in the morning and make them paint over the mold. So everybody who's affiliated with Huron Valley in a space of who's ever over it, Heidi Washington, the warden, whoever, they all know there's mold in that prison. They painting over the mold. We had Linda Sturmer on here who talks about how the mold is so thick in the showers that it looks like shag carpet. And when they take a shower, it just drips all over their bodies. So Crystal was told early on, the doctors told them early on that she had a high, she was highly allergic to mold, and she shouldn't be in that environment. And so what they do as punishment, they put her in spaces where they knew the mold was even worse. When she speaks out, or when we protest, or when we, speak out on her behalf, there's always something in retaliation going on against her. This morning, she could barely breathe. Her chest was hurting, and she was denied by the doctor. And we told that to the governor's aide who was at the event today. She said, well, why wouldn't he see her? And I said, because they retaliate against her. Just because she speak out. Just because she's telling everybody about the mold. She's on prison radio. She's on all these different things talking about this mold for years. Until now, she can barely, get up and move around. She's on a walker and in a wheelchair. Well, she was in a wheelchair, but they took that away, and now she's on a walker. So we're not going to stop talking about this. We're not going to stop advocating for Crystal. So we asking everybody that listens to this that we have a call to action, because you have the power to save a life. We need Crystal out of Huron Valley, and we need to close Huron Valley down. I know the lawyer was like, no, we need to advocate for I'm not advocating for no new prison. We could close it down, because don't nobody deserve, I don't care what they did, to live in a mold infested environment. If you lived in a mold infested environment with children, they would take your kids away. The state of Michigan would take your children right out your crib. But it's okay for these women to be suffering, and even for the ones that's teasing her and doing all kinds of crazy stuff to her. She's even standing up for them, because guess what? You're going to be sick from this mold. One of the ladies that's part of the lawsuit, who is out of the prison now, that's still so sick, her doctor said everything that's wrong with her is from that mold. So we asking you to contact Governor Whitmore, who has a medical clemency application on her desk. We were told that everybody know about this. They know about Crystal. So we asking for you to write a letter to support Crystal, to support her medical clemency. Ask the governor, what's she doing about this? If you want to know more about Crystal, here's her link tree, Fighting for Crystal. Go there. There's other ways that, you can support her. You can support her financially. And then we also ask her, to share her stories, share the flyers, a hashtag free Crystal Clark. We want to get as many people behind this movement to free Crystal, to bring her home so she can get the proper medical care. We found a doctor that seems like that might be the doctor for her, but we need to get her out of that space because they are not going to do it at Huron Valley. So with that being said, I just wanted to leave that with everybody before we leave tonight. Leslie, do you have something that you want to say?
No, I'm just taking it all in and taking notes. Thank you.
Okay. Allie, do you have something?
Yeah, I just have something really briefly that I wanted to touch on. Just wanted to give everybody a call to action, something that they could do. So first, I'll give a little background. There was something called the Green Book that was created by someone named Victor Hugo Green. He was a postal worker, and he created this book so that Black people would have safe places they could travel to. The book basically showed you where you could go that was safe, where was sundown towns, where it wasn't, and it showed different states and really broke it down. That was a book he created and gave out to folks every year, and people use that. That ended when the 1964 Civil Rights Act passed. So what I'm saying is that we can create safe spaces for each other. It starts in our backyard. So what Victor Hugo was doing, we can do now. We can do it in the form of what a lot of people like to call a zine. So I suggest everyone connect with local leaders in your community, Black community members, connect with the most impacted people, and start to draft these types of books so that we have these safe spaces. And from there, we can build out systems of accountability, because that's the starting place. Is finding out where is safe. What does safety look like?
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you mentioned that. So I'm not in Wayne County, but in Washtenaw County, I am almost done. I'm actually working on I call the People's Toolkit, and so I have a monthly podcast where I just talk about like how safe things to ensure safety. So we'll have like a gardening series in April and stuff like that, and how to make the best out of your groceries. So I will share that information with J Love so she can share it. But also it's also a physical booklet that I'm working on with places that are of in good rapport with the Black community, because like where I live, we it's 13% or 13.8% in the country, but where I live is like 6 or 7% in Ann Arbor. So we can't just say only Black. This is not enough of us, but we know where we can go and where we be respected and that kind of thing, and also like survival kits. So I'm in a activist group here where there's like what kind of things you need in your first aid kit. I got a transistor radio here. I'm getting all our stuff together here at the house too, in case of a blackout, all that kind of thing.
Tia.
Just such a wonderful conversation tonight, and I love the ending. And yes, Allie, you and I on the same page. I looked up the Green Book today, just to look at it one more time. And what we need to know is if you put that in Google, it still will come up. Today's places today. Now, some places are in denial. Like I put in for Georgia to see what it said today, and they're not claiming anything, but Michigan still has it. So we have in Michigan still the sundown cities as of 2024, maybe 2025 too, but I know it had it for 2024. Ferndale was in there. Dearborn, I think specific Dearborn Heights.
I know Livonia on there.
Yeah, Livonia's on there, but you'll see specific ones on there still today.
These things
You do have
cycle.
Yeah, you still have states that are in denial. Georgia, which we know there are definitely some sundown areas, and I don't even live there, but we know according to the reports of what we see in the news and bodies coming up. So I am in agreement with the fact that it is up to us. It's up to us to come together as a community. It's up to us to begin to communicate and to heal and to get safe, like you said, Jay, and the rest of you who've been talking about safe places, developing these safe spaces, and even more than that, develop it in your home. Have a safe space in your home. Do you have a home? Do you have a place in your home that is a place of healing? Are people coming to you and do they feel safe? Or do you have family where you are hiding abuse? It's time for us to get real with each other, get real with our families, get down to the nitty-gritty of healing and making sure that the oppressive mind does not continue to the next generation. How do we do that? Where do we begin? It begins with us. I'm excited about today because I'm knowing that my brothers, my sisters are with me in this dispensation so that we can transform the negative narrative that we have been sold.
Yeah. Thank you, Revertia. And Yana.
Thank y'all for having me here. I appreciate y'all so much. It's good to talk to y'all. Definitely want to get in on this Crystal Clark situation. If I can definitely, BLM can definitely use our platforms to uplift and vocalize, even make an event. If we want to do like a call-in event, like we just get people to like call or write letters, like just have events like that, we can definitely help like facilitate that and get some momentum going on that, because this is ridiculous. Definitely want to help out with that effort. Again, thank y'all so much, and follow BLM Detroit on Instagram, Facebook, just to get information. We have a membership meeting coming up, so if folks want to figure out ways to plug in to different work, we are definitely open to members. Yeah. And also invite me back. I love this.
Yes, we will. Yes, we'll have you back. You'll be on the other end.
Hey. Yes.
And also in April, we are going to have an event, informational event in Ann Arbor for Ypsilanti one in regards to Crystal. The students at your event are working on that now. And so maybe I'll connect you with your say.
For sure.
So,
absolutely.
You can be involved in that. And so again, before we leave tonight, we just want to call you to action. You can say Crystal by contacting the governor's office, by email or letter in regards to Crystal Clark. This is Crystal's information. Crystal Denise Clark, number 435064, Women's Huron Valley Correctional Facility, 3201 Bemis Road, Ypsilanti, Michigan, if you want to, connect with Crystal. So again, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next week on Turning a Moment into a Movement. Good night.
This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, this little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. Oh Lord, just let it shine. This light of mine, this light of mine. Oh Lord, would you please just let it shine. Take the drama out of my life. Oh Lord, every night the pain ain't right. I wake up at night, I never sleep. 26, 10, and 7, that's just me. Every day I need a little seed. I need a little fresh air, man, I need to breathe. All I know is trauma, all I know is tickets. All I know is no visit, all I know is a mission to get straight up out of prison. Lord have mercy for it. Lord have mercy on my people. Preacher Mary Washington and all my real. Lord have mercy with my people. I pray to God, we really need you. When I was down bad, when things weren't going right, every time I prayed at night, I put my hands up in my face. I said, Lord have mercy, little light of mine. Lord God, please let it shine. It's the drama that I live in my life. I swear to God, I was a bad guy every night. 10 toes down, salute. Everybody suffering, everybody who trying to make a way. Everybody looking for the sky, everybody looking for that piece of pie. In a law library, I know what that feel like. Hoping that somebody get active and involved in your situation. Man, pop your collar and pray. Cause Lord have mercy on my soul. And they make bad guy father get out soon. And the rest of those brothers who be mobbing to child each morning. Oh man, I ain't going to this afternoon. Man, I'ma miss dinner today. I got a cup of noodles. You know what that feel like? Yeah, you know what it is. And if you a victim of a wrongful conviction, suffered and served by Ken Worthy, then I know that you know what that pain feel like. And your mama know what that pain feel like. Your father know what that pain feel like. With that light, let that little shine. Let that light shine, a little light of mine. Bad guy, Doughboy Week, all these great people in this great world of ours. 10 toes down, salute. I appreciate you, bad guy. I appreciate you, Week. I appreciate the tech. I appreciate everybody in the studio. We gonna pop off the LV, ooh-wee, cause that's what they be liking to see. But I hope you hear the missing when you see me fresh. Salute.